Hi guys, Materium here with another battle report that is battle number 2 from this week's Warhammer Night. And this is Dwarfs versus my Demons of Chaos in another 2250 point battle line. I used the same Demons army in the previous battle report. But this battle report is special because this marks the return of one of my best friends. He had moved to Florida for a little while and has come back and brought the Dwarfs with him. So this is his inaugural game after returning. So we've been really missing him at the group and glad he's come back. So we decided to kind of squish in a quick game after the last one I played with Lord Alphonius. So we basically kept the same board. And because I won the last game, the way we kind of do it at our group, I get to choose sides. So I basically kept the same side I was on as well. So you'll see very similar setup to the last game that I just played against the Dark Elves. So let's go ahead and get into the deployment. And this here is the entire Dwarfs army. Up front there you see, and I didn't take this picture till after his first turn movement, so you have a gyro bomber, then a unit of 25 longbeards, I think that is, flame cannon next to that with the rune of forging and the rune of stalwart, 26 thunderers next to that, then a cannon with rune of forging on it, then a unit of 26 hammerers with full command, and then he's got 4 characters, which I think was a little much. But on my side, I have my Herald of Slaanesh on the Exalted Chariot. Up front, you can see my 5 Seekers that have vanguarded there. See a little pile of dead pink horrors, because this is, like I said, after he had already done his shooting or whatever. Then my unit of 20 Daemonettes of Slaanesh with full command. Then on the hill you have my Soul Grinder Mark Nurgle, 5 Chaos Furies Mark Khorne, what was at one point a unit of 10 Pink Horrors, and they had Infernal Gateway for about 30 seconds before he Spell Eatered it. And then you see hiding behind the building is Caldragor, my Bloodthirster. And then over here I've got my unit of 21 Daemonettes of Slaanesh, and there has my battle standard bearer, Bria, the bearer of the sign. So, and as you saw in those pictures, the dwarves actually got first turn, didn't move hardly at all, and shot up some pink horrors. That's all they managed to do at that point. So my whole hope here, he's very tightly packed, but he's left me some room to maneuver around behind him. So I'm going to make maximum use of my speed being 3 times what his is. And the idea is I'm just going to try and surround him and hit his units from a bunch of different directions. If I can nail 2 different directions on each unit, that's going to prevent them from reforming and kind of let me pick my battles. So this is the left flank movement at turn 1. I managed to march the Seekers around behind his unit of Longbeards. Now I didn't realize that those guys have the rune of Stalwart on their banner, so they're stubborn, so I'm going to have to grind them down to nothing. And then I moved my Exalted Chariot Girl with the challenge Locust there, because he has one of his 2 rune smiths in that unit, and I want to slam into it, pick it out, and kill it for some easy points, because he spent a lot of points on characters in this army. Then in the middle, I basically moved everything up front forward, basically just to kind of draw some fire away from the more important parts, particularly those Furies. They're basically just there to be a sweet target of opportunity in the hopes that he shoots them instead of something more important. And the Soul Grinder is turned like that because that puts him exactly 12 inches from the Gyro Bomber, which he can actually see and get a shot off of, hopefully. And over here you see you actually see where my Nurglings came in. I forgot to include those in my deployment. But the Bloodthirster gets over there to the side, and the other unit of Daemonettes are kind of moving off to the side. Not really aimed at anything yet, because there's not really anything good. I just wanted to get up and behind him as fast as I could. So then we go in magic. He ends up, like I said, spell eatering my spell, and I I might have done a wound to the gyro bomber. I don't remember, but so in his movement, he doesn't want me to get fully behind his lines, so he actually backs up the dwarf longbeards here, so it kind of blocks a charge by the seekers into the cannon. He does the same thing here with his hammerers. Problem is here he made the big mistake. Yeah, he's going to get one shot on me with his cannon, but I had rolled like a 10 on Winds of Magic last turn, so my whole army has a 4-up ward save. So he's got one shot against a 4-up ward save to kill the Bloodthirster. Otherwise, I'm going to charge into that cannon and then overrun into the Thunderers and just blow the center out of his line. Oh, and here's where the gyrocopter went. Yeah, he moved over here to try and do some damage to the chariot. Really not all that concerned with him doing any damage to the chariot. Yeah, it's only toughness 4, but the thing does have 8 wounds on it. So the likelihood that a single gyro bomber is going to handle that, not too great. And he didn't actually stop in front of me to stop the charge. So I'm going to get in there into his unit. And here, I don't know why I showed this picture. Oh yeah, his Thunderers, or the Flame Cannon, one or the other, I think it was the Flame Cannon, laid into that unit of Daemonettes and ended up only killing 2 of them. Again, 4-up ward save on everything in the army is really hard, and particularly being that this is really the only shooting phase my opponent's going to get. Okay, he must have done the Thunderers first, because here I put the thing. So yeah, between the Thunderers and the Flame Cannon, he ends up killing 6 of the Daemonettes. But since we're immune to panic, it's not like they're going to break and run off or anything, so not super concerned about that. And again, I'm thinking at this point I've still got enough to handle what he's got, because he's got kind of small units, because he went so character heavy. And so we go into my turn 2. I succeed a charge with the Exalted Chariot with my Herald on it into the side of the warriors there. Or, they're not warriors, they're Longbeards. I charge into his rear with the Seekers there, and you can see I succeeded a charge into the Flame Cannon with my Chaos Fury. So those guys are all engaged. I succeeded the charge not only with the Bloodthirster into the cannon, but I succeeded a charge into the Thunderers with the Pink Horrors. And now the only reason I did that is so that this turn, when I kill the cannon and carry through, I'll be able to deal with... I'll still have basically a combat to resolve with the Thunderers, so it'll let the Bloodthirster basically fight twice this turn. So I thought I was pretty smart there. And then just normal movement. These guys are coming up. I didn't leave myself any room for them to get in on the fight. And frankly, I'm not all that excited to get the Daemonettes into that combat, because the Bloodthirster is going to be able to do his damage. If I put too much stuff there, it's just going to give him the opportunity to get extra combat res. And I absolutely don't want him to do that. I want to make sure that he's got as little to go with it as possible. And then I just turn the Daemonettes here to aim at the side of his hammers, because I know he's going to try and take those hammers, like turn them around to go deal with the Bloodthirster. And if he does, he's going to prevent a side or a back to me. Now, what I didn't realize at the time is that his Dwarf Lord's in there on an Oathstone, so presenting sides and flanks really don't matter for crap to that unit. But I thought I was being clever here too. And then I moved the Nurglings up. In all honesty, I kind of don't know what to do with them at this point. I figure I put them there so that they could potentially be a redirector for the hammers if you wanted to bring them in. Because the hammers are going to take a couple turns to be able to turn around, maybe charge something. Just hopefully they'll be there and in the way. And then I bring the Soul Grinder here because this will let me get a shot with the Grape Shot against the Hammerers. I'm thinking maybe I'll thin down a couple of them before I get in. He's only got 25 of them there to begin with, so any that I can kill beforehand would definitely be of benefit. Because they're a strong unit, but they die pretty easy. So I have no magic. The shooting doesn't do hardly anything. So we go into combat. Obviously, the Bloodthirster just absolutely crushes the cannon. We go into the Thunderers and just kill a stupidly ridiculous number of them. Um, I mean, what are Thunderers going to do against the Bloodthirster? And you can actually see in that corner there where they died. Now, the annoying part is here, the Furies did one wound to the cannon. Took no wounds in turn, but it's actually going to take me, I think, three or four turns to kill that flame cannon. And then the Dwarves here, I peeled off a whole back rank of the Dwarves, and they only killed one of my Seekers, but this is where I found out they were stubborn and obviously weren't going to go anywhere. And yeah, you can see here where I've reformed the Bloodthirster and overran with the Pink Horrors to run down that unit of Thunderers that were there. So pretty much now I've split the army into two kind of bite-sized pieces. And those hammers are going to be, or the Longbeards are going to be tied up forever. So now it's just kind of figuring out how best to handle the hammerers with the Dwarf Lord in there. And this is just a better picture of where we're standing. The Dwarf Lord is kind of right there. I think he's wanting me. He'll want me to charge them because he wants. Well, no, the hammerers don't have shields, so I don't know. I think he might have tried to charge me, but whatever. I think this is still at the end of my turn anyway. I just kind of wanted to show where we were sticking. So Dwarfs turn 3, I guess. Gyver Bomber moves over here and tries to use the clatter gun against the Daemonettes, and it just doesn't do anything because it's a clatter gun, and I don't even think he tried the multi-shot on it because he was going to take so many penalties. So he tried one shot and it either didn't hit or didn't wound. I don't quite remember. So yeah, I guess he must have reformed with his hammers because here we are in combat again. Yeah, it looks like I killed a couple more of the Longbeards out of that unit, and he didn't kill anything of mine. And I think this is the point where I finally killed the Runesmith, although it was too little too late because he already spell-eatered my one spell. And then here's me doing yet another single wound to the cannon, which is really kind of embarrassing when you're looking at 5 Strength 4 Chaos Furies going in, just not being able to touch the freaking cannon. And I wasn't even winning because he had the Stalwart rune on there, which gives him +1 combat res. So I was doing like 1 wound and we were bouncing off each other. So we go into Demon's turn, I think this is 3. I charge the Bloodthirster into the side of the hammers. I charge the Soul Grinder into the front of them, and I actually fail to charge with the Daemonettes into the other side. Now, really, this is going to prove fortuitous to me because I think at this point the Daemonettes would have provided just more combat res to them, and they don't need that. So here I reform the Pink Horrors, and they suck, frankly, as far as interlocking with each other. So I've just let them splayed out there, and the direction that the banner there is pointing is the direction they're facing. I find it easier that than trying to reset them in the middle of a combat. So you see I move the Nurglings over a little bit to kind of come in and threaten those Longbeards, as do the Demonette unit there. So sorry for the blurry picture here. Like I said on the last battle report, my camera chooses strange places to try and focus sometimes. But I finally, after 3 turns of trying, managed to kill that freaking flame cannon with the Chaos Furies, but all they can do is reform. So basically, everybody's staring down those long beards who are just holding on for dear life. And then in the combat there, I peel off. I think I kill the champion in a challenge and 3 more dudes, and I lose another of the Seekers. So I still think he's losing. Yeah, he's still losing, I think. But again, leadership 9, rerollable. I don't remember if it's reroll. I don't think it's rerollable at this point, but he's not failing. And over here, I challenge his Dwarf Lord to a fight with the Bloodthirster. He accepts. Or no, I challenge. This is the first round. Yeah, I challenge in the Dwarf Lord, and his champion accepts, and I brutalize him with like 5 overkill. But then his Hammerer unit ends up putting 5 wounds on the Soul Grinder, so we end up sticking. So Dwarf turn 4, he flies his dwarf or his Gyric bomber over the unit of Daemonettes, hoping to thin them down with a bomb before I can get in there. He misfires, rolls a 1, wounds himself, rolls maximum wounds, and blows his own gyrocopter up. So just no luck to the dwarf player this time. I feel really bad for him at this point. So over here, challenge goes on again. His Dwarf Lord accepts this time. I end up doing a single wound to his Dwarf Lord. His Dwarf Lord's kitted out like crazy, and he does 4 wounds back to the Daemon, or the Bloodthirster, because he's got that marvelous armor of whatever that gives him a 3-up ward against strength 5 or better attacks, and I'm strength 9, I think, with my gifts. So, on my turn, I do finally get the charge in with the Daemonettes, and at this point I've thinned the Hammerers down, so I don't feel like I'm giving him too much combat res, and frankly, with, I think, 1 wound left on the Soul Grinder and 1 wound left on the Bloodthirster, I needed to do something. And the Bloodthirster does have ASF, so I'm hoping I'll kill the Dwarf Lord this time before he can go. And then everything else in my army dogpiles on this Hammerer unit, or on this Longbeard unit. I just want to hurry up and kill him. And I've kind of realized at this point that I'm going to have to kill every model in there before he breaks, and I'm willing to do that. Now, the one thing I was concerned about here is whether I fed him too much combat res, and that had me more than a little worried, but there's a lot there to throw down. And particularly when the Longbeards roll for garbage, I end up killing 3 of the Longbeards, and he throws 10 attacks. I think it's 10 attacks he throws down, and all he can manage to kill is a single Chaos Fury, because I'm rolling those 5-up ward saves like a god, and he can't find a purchase, and it's bad, but he sticks. And then during this combat, I think this is my last picture of the game, actually, because in ASF, the Bloodthirster does kill the Lord, and then that whole unit of Daemonettes are also always strikes first, and they did a bunch of damage to the Hammer. So he's only got something like 10 dwarves on the board right now, and yeah, he conceded at this point and handed me the game. Alright, so another pretty decisive victory for the Daemons of Chaos. Again, I really like this build I'm using. I think the Bloodthirster is just brutal, particularly in these armies that I mean, the dwarves do have the guns, but I managed to get that 4-up ward save right at the perfect time, so he wasn't able to get me with the one shot he had. And that Demon Slayer just handed anything that it touched its ass. Or not the Demon Slayer, Bloodthirster. Just handed everything it touched its ass, so there really wasn't any defenses there. As far as watching the dwarves, I'm finding it interesting now that I've started playing the dwarves as well. I'm seeing this opponent making a lot of the same mistakes I'm making in terms of army building. He's got still relatively small units. I mean, 25's not bad. But the biggest thing is he just went way overboard with characters, which I was tending to do. I mean, he had a Dwarf Lord that clocked in at just under 300 points, plus the BSB for 200 points, and then one runesmith at 108 and another runesmith at 126. Plus, he bought the Master Rune of Valia on the Hammerers. So I think what he's trying to do is, he's trying to go very character heavy, and I don't think that the dwarves can work that way. I don't think their characters are strong enough and bring enough to the game to spend those kind of points on them. Which is a shame, because I really love the rune system and being able to kit out your characters exactly how it is. The other thing I think this player did that really hurt him is he very much enjoyed the old way the dwarves just totally shut down the opponent's magic phase and never got any dice. That doesn't happen anymore. And to even get close requires such an investment of points. And in this particular army, I had one spell coming out of Pink Horrors. So he ate that with the Spellbreaking Rune first turn. And beyond that, I mean, he had two runesmiths that basically didn't do anything the whole game because there was no other magic to handle. Not to mention the fact that the Master Rune of Valia was totally worthless, and that's 75 points in and of itself. And I think if he had gone with just like the Dwarf Lord and the Thane, or maybe even a Rune Lord and the Thane, and got rid of the extra points for the Dwarf Lord and the two other runesmiths, he could have had another War Machine, he could have had another unit of Longbeards, or something else to give him some more punch in the army, which, with me having so many different fast targets, you saw the battle report, I was able to surround what was important, cut off the middle, and just take bite-sized hunks of it at a time. The only plus side is, it's so easy to make dwarves stubborn now that you really have to kill every model to kill a unit. And I think if we had played it out another turn and a half, it was questionable whether I was even going to get the points for those Longbeards. Because I was killing them so slowly. Yeah, I had a bunch in there now, but now he's got other targets to throw at. And I think that's really the strength of that. It's very points denial heavy. The problem is that you can points denial all day long, but if you spend all your points on characters and don't have enough into the units, you're not going to get any points, and that doesn't help your cause in any way, shape, or form. But on the plus side, it was a fun game. I loved having him back. It's going to be fun. Hopefully we'll get his army in on the narrative battles that are coming, so we'll end up having two different dwarf armies in the narratives. Be interesting. And it's kind of nice to play. We don't, up to this point, do not have any duplicate armies in our group. So it's kind of interesting to see an army that I'm trying to play from another point of view, to kind of see what works, what doesn't. So I'm hoping to learn a lot from watching him play, as he's been a dwarf player pretty much since our group started. And I'm definitely going to kind of learn to see what he does, particularly as he gets used to the new book. As this was his first time with the new book, I think he had gotten it like the day before. So he didn't really have a good learn on it, but I'm definitely looking forward to the next game we see him in, and I hope you guys enjoyed. If you like what you saw, please subscribe, like the video, comment on anything you liked, didn't like, whether you thought that if you have any ideas for changes to his army, things of that nature. But again, it was a fun game, and thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you next time.